Yeah.
Hey, what's up?
How's it going, man?
I'm doing incredible. I think the reason is I'm just trying to put things in perspective, trying to be creative, trying to keep in mind that the world is an amazing place.
Yeah.
I know it sounds a little like fluffy, but
Right.
it's true. It's true, man.
So it's been a shorter time since we've met than usual, but a lot has gone on since then, right? I've kind of dug into music. So for like the past year, I haven't really been listening to music like I normally do. So kind of been going back and just grabbing a lot of stuff, and then I've been watching some documentaries and some movies in between. Then so watched Kalief Browder's first two parts. Well, the first two parts and the
discussion.
The town hall discussion that was.
Was Jay-Z really on it?
Yeah. Actually, it was Jay-Z. Michael Che actually was up there at one point.
Really?
Yeah. Kalief Browder's attorney, and a few other people. So
it was a sad story, man.
Yeah, it is. Kind of like if you are aware of what goes on with Black people in the jail system, and you watch things like 13th and stuff like that, it's not an original story, but it gives you more of an insight to like what goes on in Rikers. Yeah. So
I think people need to know. I think
like
that
jail culture and gang culture in jail and that.
That's not common knowledge at
Right.
all. Not even to some Black people.
Yeah.
So it's good that stuff is put in a almost like a chronological order of somebody's misery. You know what I'm saying? Like the 13th and this are kind of highlighting it. And I know a lot of people of all races that were kind of like, people are being wrongfully
and
put in
it's
jail?
like it's stuff that we've known for years.
It is,
and like people don't understand or know it because I guess they don't have anybody that's directly been affected by it, which is weird to me. But
large part of my childhood was visiting. So my mom's brother and my dad's brother were both in the same jail when I was younger. So I visited them for the first 12 years of my life. They had my uncle got 10 years for cocaine possession, crack cocaine. Yeah. It was one rock, 10 years.
Wow.
Just saying, it's a little crazy.
Yeah.
And I was initiated. I was always getting patted down as a little kid.
Yeah.
And get the little mark on your arm, and it's shit that I didn't think was not normal. I thought it was very normal.
Exactly.
I talked to my friends and like, no, I never. No, I never went to Hagerstown to visit my people. No. So I don't know. It's a story that has to be told.
Long story short, jail is not cool. You don't want to go to jail.
No.
Young people stay away from jail.
And also know your rights.
Yeah, that too.
Know your rights. It's very important because people put you in situations that seem like they're dire and get you to say things that aren't necessarily true to protect your freedom. When you're not actually protecting your freedom, you are putting yourself in danger. So I don't know. Know the law. Get a lawyer. Say like, my lawyer.
Yeah.
That's it. Don't say anything else. So I don't know.
Watch a lot of law shows. Even if it's a fictional show, you still get a lot of information from that.
Watch a lot of karate too, because sometimes you might have to.
Like seriously, if you end up in there, you might. But on a lighter note, what have you been doing for the past few days?
Stand up, always stand up. Check my Instagram, who is Ron James. I'm always doing stand up. Club flyers are on there and stuff like that. My cousin and I have a single out, Miguel Cotto too. We formed a group called Catch the Fade, and the stuff sounding really good. It's a lot of like aggressive stuff that people haven't heard from me because I don't know that side of me.
I think I've told you this, but I didn't recognize your voice on the track. Like
it's fine. It's fine because there has to be a distinction. Like if I spoke I would sound like I was trying to serenade people. Oh, welcome to
like a Barry White type.
I can't do it. So I had to.
Yeah.
I had to do something with it. Yeah. Cool. But that's it.
Yeah. I guess we can bring our guest in now, right?
Yes.
All right. Yeah. So I'll let you.
So I'm a big fan of immensely talented people, and I happen to be friends with one of the most talented people. Just seeing her journey and wanting to know how things came about is incredible. A New York transplant, if I'm not mistaken.
I am from Brooklyn.
Yes.
Okay. All right. I hear it.
Designer, entrepreneur, writer, Kalilah Wright.
Hi, everyone. Hello.
How you doing?
I'm pretty good.
So I I met you working at Under Armour.
Yep.
Architect.
Yes.
Really?
Incredible.
Wow.
Incredible. I remember coming to your desk and helping you and then seeing all these like models of things.
Right. Models, drawings, all that good stuff.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
what did you like build and design while you were there?
So I did interior store design. So anything that they wanted interior fit outs, I would do. So the layouts of stores, shoe walls, all that good stuff. So I would just design that and help figure out where things should go in the store.
Okay.
So the first thing I noticed about you was that A, you're very fashionable. B, you're a very kind person. And C, it just seemed like you had, and this is no insult to the work that you did at Under Armour, you had a lot going on. Like
Right.
you in your head, you're like, this isn't, you know how you meet people and it's like, this is going to be their life forever?
Right.
I didn't get that vibe from you. I got this vibe like you want to do
A lot
bunch
more.
of stuff. Yeah.
You know, it's really funny because I think just as a young entrepreneur and a young woman, I'm still trying to figure it out. Because even yesterday I got on the phone with a friend and I have this vision of what I think, you know, what I want to do even after this. And it's even bigger than this, bigger than what I'm doing now. And so it's really funny because I'm like, okay, how can I take over the world in like 30 years? You know, like I want to solve world hunger if I can. Like it's just so much that I guess I want to accomplish in my years. So I just think that it's important for us all to kind of live and for us all to live our maximum potential, which I think a lot of people don't do because they're so either afraid of what's on the other side or they are so used to living just I wake up, I go to work, I deal with kids or, you know, deal with the spouse or whatever, and then that's it. And I go to sleep and do it again. But I think that I've always just had that instinct, like there's just so much more. So.
Cool. So when you said this, you said that you're doing this right now. What is this? What are those
So
things?
currently I am the owner of a company called Mess in a Bottle. So we are a t-shirt company. We put messages on t-shirts and they come packaged in a reusable bottle. It's a company that I developed about a year ago while at Under Armour. I was actually sitting at my desk. I used to create baby furniture and baby apparel. And that just stemmed from my architectural background experience. I used to have friends who would always say, hey, can you make me this? And, you know, baby showers would come up and I wanted to create something that was very unique for them. So I ended up really creating furniture items and just unique items. But that became really expensive. So then I transitioned a little bit over to apparel, where I saw that there was a faster turnaround on apparel where I could create a shirt really quickly, push it back out, where furniture, I would have to charge at least $400 to $1,000 to really compensate the time that it would take for me to like refurnish and redo a furniture item. So I started doing apparel and that was a lot of fun and I did a lot of baby stuff, but then that transitioned into doing some adult, you know, people would be like, I want that for me. Can I have that? And so then I started saying, hey, this is kind of fun. And one day sitting at my desk at Under Armour, I decided that I would start a t-shirt company and it developed and it became Mess in a Bottle.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
So one of the things that I noticed about your apparel company is you have these messages that kind of, the signature sort of messages, and then you have things that are kind of current that have to do with like, a trend or something, a message that's being put out recent. How do you keep it current the way that you do?
So,
and they tend to be messages that aren't like fleeting. They're like really cool messages that, how did you?
So that's something that's really cool about the company. We have our standard, like basic messages that can go anywhere from something like be great today. But then you have very trendy things, maybe things that are going on with political or something that can be occurring with, the environment, who knows? And it could be something that I'm just choosing to highlight. Being the designer that I am, I just really try to create this item, push it out, and allow the public to really feed off of that design. and I create all my designs myself. So I create, and I do a lot of the print and everything in-house.
Okay.
So that's one of the reasons that I'm able to kind of create that item and push it out right away. So beyond my basic designs, I also create and design everything, and I try to do things that are trendy because, I want people to have a voice. That's our brand. I call it an expressive brand. I want people to be able to have a voice, even in their workplace, whether being that you don't want to maybe wear something that's too controversial, you could wear something that may be a little bit more taming, but it can still show that you have a voice, maybe even for Black Lives Matter, or saying something in regards to the president, but it may not be just too outspoken. It may be something very little, and it could just be your way of showing your activism, even within your workplace or walking around on a Saturday, just to show that you do have a voice in these issues and in these matters.
Okay. So, you said you're an architect. Was that something that you always did as a child, where you always like building things and that just kind of carried on?
Well, what happened, and it's just so funny that I'm back in like this clothing design space. So I attended Art and Design High School in New York City, and Art and Design, it's a school that enhanced, I guess, art for, if you had a creative, mind, it allowed you to explore that, whether that was architecture, fashion design, graphic design. It explored all these things, even as like, a 15-year-old. And for me, all of the kids, especially, guys too, but a lot of the kids went into fashion design. It was just, I want to create a cool clothing brand. And for me, I was like, I want to be an architect. Like, it just sounded so much cooler. And my theory, even from high school, and I kind of kept this going, but I said to myself, if I can become an architect, I could become a fashion designer. But I told myself, if I can become a fashion designer, I don't think I could become an architect. Being that it would have been a harder road if I went into fashion and then wanted to transition to architecture, opposed to the other way around. So it's really funny that this is now where I am, because that's really what happened. I'm using more of my design skills and all the aesthetically, like architectural things that I've gained along the way to now put that into, fashion in a sense. Right. And it really transferred that way, where I am able to go from architecture to fashion.
Right. And that's interesting that you said that, because I'm in fashion too, and I do a lot of study and research, and I actually have a degree in graphic design. So a lot of people that are coming up now, they actually don't have fashion degrees or went to a traditional fashion school like Virgil Abloh. He's actually an architect and has a background in architecture. Tinker Hatfield, another person that actually was architecture and ended up going to Nike and designing shoes and stuff like that. So you don't actually have to follow a traditional path to do something that you love. Like, just find your passion, work things out, and you can always change your path. You don't have to stay on that one path, even though you've allotted a lot of time into, a particular field. Because I think we've been taught to kind of only be great at one thing, or be good at one thing, and be one-dimensional. But we don't have to be. We can do 3-4 different things and be good at them if you're good at it and you have passion to do it. So I think that's a good point.
Cool. So I noticed something. If you've only been doing this for like a year, there's a lot of, you're further along than a lot of people are within a year's time of creating something. You have like a social currency. This is like something we've been talking about last episode. Yeah. Kind of a social currency that you create through connection with your customers, your customer base, putting out positive messages. When did you realize that you could create a social currency that could help you get more sales and get a loyal customer base?
Well, right now, I think we live in a time where everyone wants to be, like, expressive. And everyone, look at Facebook. Like, look how much Facebook is, like, blowing up, developing, changing lives, like, for the most part. We are living in this social environment and this world now where everything is about social media. Everyone's putting their feelings, their emotions, they're wearing it, they're talking about it. And what better way than to start a conversation by wearing a t-shirt t-shirt than having something that people can say, oh, hey, you can be sitting at a bar and someone can, walk up to you and ask you a question. And this can be a great conversation starter. So, this is, I think that one of the reasons my brand is definitely thriving right now is because people are looking for things and ways that they can be social and have a voice and have something to say. So I think this is one of the perfect ways to do it.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. So pretty recently you made a guest appearance on Mark Cuban show?
Harry show.
Harry show.
Yeah,
Okay.
The Harry Connick Jr. show.
Really?
Yes.
This is Harry Connick, the actor?
Yes.
My brain is scrambled. Oh my God!
Look, now I'm a big deal.
Yeah, right. No, Mark Cuban, the multi-billionaire, owns the Mavericks.
Oh my God! Okay.
It was the Harry show.
Okay, gotcha. How was the experience? How did you?
So one of my girlfriends, everyone knows I'm always grinding. I'm always hustling right now, being that this is my full-time job. So one of my friends, her daughter was actually on the show, and casting directors usually sometimes reach out to people who have already been on the show. So she mentioned to me that they're looking for entrepreneurs, and she said, "Here's the casting director's information, shoot your shot." And I did. And within, this was about the Wednesday, and they were looking for someone for the following Wednesday to be on the show. They mentioned Mark Cuban, but at the time, I don't know what it was, but I was like, oh, that would be cool. And I love Mark Cuban, but for some reason I'm like, oh, maybe he'll be on like a teleprompter or something, and, we'll be Skyping with him or something crazy. I don't know. But I didn't really think that I would be actually meeting Mark, and it just didn't all, really come to me until it happened. So I met with the casting directors. We spoke via telephone, went back and forth, sent my information. And they casted me, and within a couple days, they, transported me up to New York, had a private car. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the life. Oh, can I have this forever? Like, this is what I need. And it was actually the day after this was on my birthday.
Oh, wow.
And it was just so random how this all happened. And the next day was the taping of the show. Like, they had me, paid for me to stay at a hotel, like just food, everything. It was a really, really amazing experience. And then on top of it, I got to meet Mark Cuban. Right. It was just an excellent experience. And, the funniest part is I said to Mark Cuban, I was like, I thought I would meet you about 10 years from now. I had no idea that in the first year of my journey, I would meet you. And he was like, you got a good product. So it really made me, it was a really amazing feeling.
The bar's been set. It's like the first year you meet Mark Cuban. Who's next
Happy birthday to you.
It's Oprah.
Yeah, I was about to say. I'm like, let's speak it into, Mama, I'm coming on the OWN show, girl. When you ready for me, I'm here.
That's incredible. So, it seems like there's some good momentum. How's the momentum been since the appearance on the show?
I'm a person, I love to honestly speak. It's been great, but I would say I have a lot to learn just about business. And it's good. The momentum has been good, but as you guys may tell a little bit, I'm a little under the weather. I'm the person that, and I mentioned this on the show too, I do it all. I do the marketing, I'm doing the printing, I'm doing the boxing, I'm doing the post office runs. Like, the people at the post office, like, I have to buy them the biggest gift ever because they help me package my stuff. They help me tape up my stuff. Like, I run in the post office almost at 6:50 every single day, or 6:58, and they close at 7.
Right.
And I don't run in there with packages already ready to go. I run in there with bottles, with T-shirts, with paper to put in the package, and they literally stay about an hour late to help me package and make sure my orders get out. Like, so I say all of that to then say, like, I'm sick. My son is sick. Like, it's been difficult getting out orders. It's been difficult trying to get, regular people to kind of pay and say, all right, come, I need you these days, train them during this time. Yeah. It's definitely been a difficult transition. And I think also the hard part is when you do everything yourself, it's so hard to like let go of so because
right.
not because I don't want to, but it's also because it's so hard to train someone with like you doing 5,000 things. Yeah. You're like, okay, this is how you do one of them. And it's like, gosh, okay, I could just do it myself. And you know, you want it done right. Or some things may happen and I'm seeing an error. And I'm like, damn, if I did it myself, we wouldn't be where we are right now. You know, so it's just things like that, as well as, unfortunately, you know, I may have one or two angry customers who, I'm a small business, but a lot of people, they want you to be Walmart. Right. They think that you can quickly pump out. They don't understand that I'm actually the one at home pressing on each design, doing each tag, things like that. Mm-hmm. So, you know, they think that within 2 business days that their items should be shipped. So, you know, like recently I had someone file a dispute and they didn't even contact me at all saying, hey, where's my package? They just filed a dispute saying they didn't get it. And it was just disheartening. And I get it because, you know, they don't know me. They don't know my journey. Right. They think I'm Walmart. And I mean, I'm trying to portray that I'm a little bit like Walmart, you know, in the sense of I want people to get their product and be efficient. But it's been difficult since the show. But I am just trying to, I guess, recoup now and taking a moment and trying to reflect from the show. I'm letting things die down a little bit so that I could really reflect on my business. And then I'm hoping to really, like, hit the ground again.
Okay. One thing I was thinking about was you said you packaged them in bottles. Did you actually design the bottle yourself?
Yes. Okay. So even my bottle experience has been really crazy. So when I decided to create this company, and maybe I'll share this here. I don't share it with many people. Well, I don't share it with anyone, but I'll share my little secret here. So how I really came up with the company, one day at Under Armour, I was listening to YouTube. And I don't usually like play random songs on YouTube, but this day it was just like shuffling through and I was like, whatever. And a Chance the Rapper song. Shout out to Chance the Rapper. I hope I can meet him and tell him how he created my company. But a Chance the Rapper like album came on. And it was actually a message in a bottle. I don't even know. Well, that wasn't like the name of it, but it was an image. And I have no idea what the album is called. I should look it up and actually know this.
The Donnie Trumpet one, the one he put out for free.
Yes.
I don't know the title of it, but
Donnie
it's
Trumpet
that one.
And the one that came out on iTunes. The
free
one.
Yeah.
But it was an amazing song, and I just remember looking at the screen, and it was this image of a bottle with a message in it and water, and I was just like, how dope, like a message in a bottle. And that's really how the whole message in a bottle thing came about. So it made me at the time, you know, just really want to have a T-shirt that was packaged in a bottle. So I started out, right now, I was buying my bottles retail from a major company, and I just experienced so many issues. It's a glass bottle. Everyone loves the bottle. But it hasn't been cost efficient at all, as well as it's drowning me. As well as it's, you know, I have stuff that's shipped to California. I cross my fingers every time it goes into the USPS because not everyone is so happy about packages. So sometimes, you know, we have bottles that break. So it's been very, very hard on the business. So right now I'm actually having plastic bottles designed that I designed and manufactured. So we're crossing our fingers that I have an overseas manufacturer developing the bottle now, and I should have that within a couple weeks. Wow. So I'm excited to roll out our new bottles and new packaging.
That's incredible.
Thank you.
That's really amazing to hear. So I'm noticing a general sort of positivity about everything that permeates through all of the stuff that you do. How do you maintain that? You know, you're raising the son, you're working, you have a business. How did you create this sort of standard of feelings? I know people you have ups and downs, but there's a general sort of temperament that you put out into the world. How do you maintain it?
It's funny that you say that because I have a good therapist friend that I like randomly met on a plane in Jamaica,
Really?
like
Wow.
maybe even 8 years ago. Oh my gosh, time has really flown. But yeah, like literally, I was on a plane going to Jamaica. I was sitting next to this beautiful couple, and just she's from New York, and she is a family therapist, and so I call her maybe like once a month or so, panicking about life and telling her like help. Excuse me. So she really, I think, is one of the factors to help keep me grounded. But I think overall, my biggest thing is I hear a lot from everyone, and I should thank them because I think that people don't understand that they say I inspire them. And it's been like, I love to hear that because I sort of feel like a lot of people on this planet, they have no idea what their purpose is. They don't know why they're really here. They don't know what they should be doing with themselves. We see people, a lot of people suffer from mental illnesses, and they aimlessly kind of walk around, or even people who are not suffering from mental illnesses, they walk around just not living and not understanding like what they should be doing with their lives. And for me, from a young age, I've always had this thing where I know people kind of gravitate towards me. People listen to me. People follow me. Like a lot of people on my journey and on my Facebook and things like that are people who I know from visiting South Africa 10 years ago or visiting Italy, like, or all over, like where I've touched and saw and met. And having random people say, oh, I had my daughter watching you on Talk to Mark Cuban, and I had my son, like that stuff to me, it shows like that's what my purpose is.
Right.
So when I hear a friend say, hey, I started a business yesterday and it was because of you, I'm just like, that is powerful to me. And I think that a lot of people, they don't understand their superpowers. They don't understand like what we project, what we say, how we say it. And I think my biggest thing too, because I say all of this and I absorb all of it myself, I don't just try to give off just the good. I'm a person on Facebook where I have been, not only Facebook, just in general, I don't like to just give off just the, hey, everything is great.
Right.
I'm sick. My son is sick. Like I'm eating pizza and Wendy's every other day, it feels like. I think that one of the things that I love about my journey and what I share is just that there's going to be downtimes. I almost burned down my house like 2 days ago because I was trying to cook because I was sick of the fast food, and I literally almost burned down the house, and I shared that.
Yeah.
But not because of like showing any negativity, but just to really show that I'm human.
Exactly.
And I just think that a lot of the times, especially with social media, and this goes back to even my t-shirt company, I try to give messages that you won't find at a Walmart, and you won't, like, these are genuine, true, honest, raw messages. And I think that sometimes that's where we as humans like kind of lack, because I do get some backlash too when I put certain things on Facebook or on social media where people are like, oh girl, don't share that part, and I'm just like, why not? Like, if you're having a breakdown today because I'm having a difficult time, my son is acting up, or that there's certain flaws, why not share it? I don't want that. Hopefully I can share that I become $1 million company. But I would never want anyone, especially a young, aspiring entrepreneur, to look at my journey and say, oh, that was easy.
Yeah.
She left this job and she did this way, and it was easy for her to do it. In a year, I could do the same. I just think that the world gives off this this message of, we're so great. Everything is so great. This journey is so easy. This is the way, you could have a podcast and have 1 million followers by tomorrow. And it's just like, we all know that it's not that simple, that that's not the formula.
Right.
So, I just love to share what the real deal is. I love to share my good, the bad, and the ugly. So I think that helps keep me humble, just within the situation. But I think the whole positivity comes from me. I'm from the hood. I'm a hood chick from Brooklyn. Like, I was born in Jamaica, but, I'm an immigrant. I came to this country, and my parents, they're immigrants. They had immigrant jobs. They didn't go on to get their masters. And, I have a master's in architecture. Like, how lucky am I that my parents, that they struggled. My grandmother cleaning people's houses, my mother doing the same, and, just doing these immigrant type jobs to then allow for me and afford for me to now become someone. So why wouldn't I share that whole journey and how lucky I am?
Right. It's nuts to think that once you get to a point where you can have a store, you can also design that store. That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's
and I think that a lot of people don't understand that. We have our lives, you have the option.
Right.
To figure out what, even now, it's so funny because, of course, I'm not in this, like, great position yet to, like, hire a bunch of people. But, I drive by, different big businesses, and I'm like, and I see factories, and I'm like, I want that. I want this warehouse, and that's what I aspire. Or I see a young girl walking into 7-Eleven, and you could tell that she doesn't want to work there. I want to tell her, like, come on, you could work for me. Like, I want to be able to do things like that and say, this doesn't have to be a job.
Right.
And I think that a lot of people, they don't understand that, because that's how their family has already created that path for them, where they think that has to be their environment, and that has to be what I drive in certain neighborhoods, affluent neighborhoods, where you may not see, a large population of Black families. And I'm like, no, this is what I aspire to be. And, I live here in the hood in Baltimore, and, like, I look around my environment, and, I just see those people as well. And I'm just like, this is what they know. They're a product of their environment, and I would love to show them what else is outside of that. And, so it just feels like, again, those things become a part of my mission and what I need to do.
Right. So you talk about your son a lot, and you say your parents are immigrants. How do those things shape your business and shape your experience and shape you as a person?
Well, I came to this country when I was around 5 years old. I migrated from Jamaica to Brooklyn, so I guess I'm more of a Brooklynite than anything else. And, I grew up in a fairly decent, economically, decent household. We weren't, like, poor or anything crazy, but it was my grandmother. She worked a lot. I didn't really have structure in the sense of, like, go to bed or apply for college. As I mentioned, like, my parents didn't go to college, or my grandmother didn't go to college. So those type of things were not things that my family kind of had on our, I'm probably one of the first in my generation to, like, go on to graduate college and high school, much or less to then get my master's as well. So, for my son, I'm hoping, my goal is just for him to even have more than what I have.
Right.
That's the goal. That should be everybody's goal. Especially, I'm not the most woke person, so don't get me started at all. But when I just look at, as a Black woman, even just in this whole entrepreneur game right now, they say, like, a Black women-owned business is not going to... Statistics show that a Black women-owned business does not make as much as what a Black male business will make. Black women start more businesses than Black men, but Black men businesses will make more than a Black woman's business. And then they say what a white woman and a white man's, it's not even compared to what... And especially because, as well, we're not, as entrepreneurs, we're also not thinking about, like, selling our businesses and, like, also creating big businesses as well. Right. Like, I tell you, I'm driving through factories because that's what I'm aspiring towards. I'm not aspiring towards making a t-shirt out of my house for another year or two. I'm aspiring to hopefully have trucks on the road sooner than late. Like those are, I want a big business. And I want to have a big business mentality as well. I just think that, and that's the only way that my son is going to be able to be bigger than me, is if I create a bigger business for him to hopefully take over. Right. We're not leaving anything behind for our children. We're not creating certain jobs for our people. And so it allows us where we cannot, how do we want our neighborhoods to develop and change, and for drugs and certain things to get out of our neighborhood when we're not showing our people that there's more and this is how you can attain it? Right. You know, like I don't want my son to take out $200,000 in loans, school loans to advance and get an education.
Because you're starting behind at that point.
Exactly. You know, like I'm grateful that my immigrant parents were able to, I was able to now, you know, graduate, but I have student loans. Right. I have student loan debt. So now that's another, you know, thing that my foot is still chained a bit, you know, and that's, you know, to be very honest, that's one of the reasons why I knew I couldn't really be at Under Armour for the rest of my life. Okay. Because even though it was an amazing company, I knew that as an architect, I would have to slave forever to really be able to pay mortgage, school loan, car note. Like it just wouldn't add up at all, ever. Right. You know, unless I'm working a gazillion hours a week. And then what time do I have to then be a mom? Yeah. Like it almost just didn't. Yeah, it didn't make. Very true. Yeah, it just didn't make sense. So you know, for me, I want to create something for my son that I could honestly leave behind. That I'm hoping he can leave to his children, and he could. You know, I want to be that person, and I would love to create something where I could hopefully even sell it. You know, people are creating businesses where people are buying for $25 million, $40 million. And you don't really see those things happening too much in the African-American community. We create a small t-shirt, small t-shirt shop. And most of us think, oh, it's cool that we push it into we're lucky if it gets into a Nordstrom or if it gets into like a small hood shop down the street and we're excited. Right. I would like a big corporation where people are like, oh, Mess in a Bottle is in Cali. Yes, you know. That's what I aspire towards, and that's what I would like to leave for my son, a real legacy.
So does he understand what you do right now?
He does. My son is the biggest, he's one of my biggest fans. You know, if you ask him what's the name of mommy's company, he definitely tells you Mess in a Bottle. He holds up his bottle proudly. Anytime he sees a bottle, and he's only 3, he turns 4 in September, and he proudly tells you that, you know, my company is Mess in a Bottle, and he knows he's like this mini CEO. He has a job in the company. He does. He's the bottle person for right now. He helps me to, you know, transport the bottles or plastic. He'll, you know, bring down the plastic downstairs. He'll bring paper down. So he's the delivery person on some days. So he knows his jobs.
That's really incredible. That's really cool. So you also are an author.
Yes.
Tell me about this.
Gosh, I like forget all of these things. And just funny, I'll just include here. So a couple years ago, one of my friends, and this might be a good task for anyone listening, but one of my friends told me to write a eulogy. And she said, write down all the things that you would like someone to say about you when you die. And write your own. And I probably still have it if I if I look on my Gmail. But my eulogy, you know, I wrote, and this was before I became a mom and before I became an entrepreneur. But I definitely said things like, I want to become a mom. Or I said, like, Kalilah, at the time, my maiden name Cummings. I said, Kalilah Cummings, the author, the mother, you know, the entrepreneur. Right. And these are all things that I kind of held myself to, that I really wanted to accomplish. Right. So, I love writing. And I love being expressive, hence Mess in a Bottle. And when I had my son, I think that becoming a parent is just it's a big deal. You have a whole human life that you have to keep living and you have to take care of. So I just knew I really wanted to become an author, and I started many books. Of course, big like novels. And of course, it takes a lot of dedication to get those finished.
Right.
And in 2016, I think January, I wrote on my vision board, because I have a big old chalkboard in my living room with a bunch of Maya Angelou quotes on there. And I wrote on there that author was one of the things that I really wanted to accomplish. And I said, no matter what, by the end of this year, I really want to become an author. And I, whether that was a kid's book or a novel, I said something has got to give. And I was rocking my son to sleep one night, and I just kept on saying to him, "You're a mother's dream." And it just resonated. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm almost sure every mother has this moment where they're like, my child, this is that moment. Like, he's my dream or she's my dream. And I just came up with a little catchy rhyme, and I decided to write it down, had an illustrator draw. I sketched out my images, and then I had an illustrator replicate those images and kind of refine those images. And I then turned it into a children's book.
Wow.
And so it's called The Mother's Dream, and it's dedicated to my son because he's my dream.
That's awesome.
That's really cool.
I don't even push the book right now at all. I'm just hoping that once I meet Oprah and she just hears about my amazing stories, that, she'll help me push my book.
You'll be in the Oprah book club.
Yes, yes.
So have you done any promotion for the book at all?
About a year ago, I did a little something, but like once Mess in a Bottle took over my life, I just kind of stopped promoting the book. I actually have a ton of books at home, so they're still there. So, I just figure sooner than later it'll come. Okay. So it's they're not getting old. They're not going to expire.
That's the great thing about books. If you write something good, it's timeless. No matter when you get the book, it'll have some meaning to you.
Right.
That's impressive, especially since it's so close to home. You can always champion that book.
And I think
a person that you're always around. That's
and it's one of those. The book is really good because I think it also now that you made me think of it, Mother's Day is coming up. I need to push this book. But it's a really good book for any parent and any new parent. Just to, it's a bit sentimental. Okay. So it goes through this journey of when a mother has a child in her stomach to the part where the baby is born, and to the part where then the child is now taking care of the mother and seeing the mother seeing the child have kids, and now that mom is a grandmother. So it just shows that journey of and it's a really sentimental kids book.
Cool. Where can they find the book?
It's on K-Wright, WRITE.com.
Oh, cool.
Okay. So I was thinking about this. Who inspires you as like an architect, I guess as a mother, as a author, brand owner?
I definitely look at people like a Mark Cuban when it comes to entrepreneurship, or, of course, like the big names like Oprah. I would say, who inspires me are more my friends, single moms that I know that are, juggling and doing their thing. Like I have a really good friend, Jillian Johnson. She had her first child around 14, and she's a mom of 2 amazing boys who are doing, basketball, and she runs around. They're now like 15, 16. Wow. And I look at her like, wow, like you raised these boys when you were a kid yourself. And so people like her inspire me when it comes to like motherhood and really being an amazing mom. I'm in my 30s and I'm still trying to like figure out my 3-year-old's running circles around me. He has me crying every now and then. And so, I look at amazing women like her, as well as, my mom, my grandmother, my godmom, just a lot of the people in my immediate circle who just, who have done it, who juggle the hard job of being a mom, being a working mom, as well as just entrepreneurs who just take that jump. I think that it's a very hard thing to do. I know a lot of people who see my story now, they say that the reason it has worked for me in a sense is because I had the balls to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's very true. Don't get me wrong, I'm not great yet, but it is a very ballsy move. And it's not an easy one. And I think that a lot of people are not courageous enough to live.
Mm-hmm.
And not to say, like, that's why a lot of these stories you hear, oh, I was homeless and, my car got repossessed, or, we were living out the car for a while. It's very easy to happen because, it's not, we don't have investor money, or you don't have a capital, so it's very difficult to do, especially on your own.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm probably realizing even more than ever now is you need a certain type of like income and stream of income coming in and capital to even make it to the next level.
Yep, right.
Like even getting plastic bottles overseas haven't been an easy financial blow.
Right.
So, I think that that's definitely part of it as well.
Okay.
Cool. So with all that said, it seems like you have a plan, and it's good to hear that there's a plan for the next couple of years. I don't think I don't think we've talked to anybody with a more defined plan.
See, that's so funny.
Yeah.
I don't have a plan. I'm saying I didn't know this was a plan.
No, you have one though. Yeah. It sounds like you do have a plan.
Well, that's good.
It's a
or at
vague
least a
outline
focus.
of a plan.
Yeah,
but it's a
that's
plan, and it's you have these markers.
Right.
You're gonna switch the bottles. You design the bottles. You get those out. I don't think I've ever heard. We haven't talked to anybody.
I know what you're saying.
I'm like,
yeah,
wow,
I get it.
that's cool. I appreciate it. It's
like
it's
that big of a concept for everything that you want to do for the brand, as far as having a warehouse and having trucking and transportation and things like that. Nobody's really spoken on that as far as getting their brand to that point yet, and that's what he's heading to.
Yeah.
It's cool. I think it's good to have, like I said, we've got to think bigger. We've got to think bigger. Right. And I think the more that we think bigger, the more that it becomes realistic that we can acquire those things. Yeah. And I think that that's the big picture that I have. Because it becomes attainable, where I could say I could touch it. I can do that. I drive around, especially, I'm 100% sure I could do that, especially in a Baltimore region.
Yeah,
like there's no reason I can't have a big company with like a factory and workers, and it's very attainable here in Baltimore. Maybe not like a New York City where rent and certain things are just so skyrocketed and so high, or even a San Francisco, like, those I'll be like, oh, I don't know. But I think here in a Baltimore city, I really should be able to attain those type of things.
Yeah, that's really cool. And it sounds like you have a good support system. So Donte comes to see me do stand-up a lot.
Yeah. And
we have so I have incredible nights, and I have nights that I'm on the verge of tearing up, because it's just, and the same thing with his business. Like he'll tell me how he's doing with his business, and it's nice to hear everything. It's nice to hear, oh, I'm struggling to come up with a design, or he watched me bomb in a marketplace. You know what I'm saying? It's real, and it's nice to talk about it, and it's nice to be transparent about it, because all people are putting out right now is the glamour of it all. Yeah. All that stuff. So it's cool.
I watched a video on Facebook recently. It was like the most lies people tell on social media, and it was like a girl, she fixed her desk up real nice and had like paper clips and rubber bands and her coffee, and saying, working hard at my desk, but she's really like on Instagram or something like that. The next person, he sees her post and goes and like drives out to like a mountain, take a picture at the top of the mountain, like he biked 20K, and it's just a whole system of things that are rolling. And that's why I appreciate you saying that you show your shortcomings and your everyday failures or something that happens to you, because people see other people's story and trying to compare themselves to them, and like, oh, they did all these things within a year and they are just perfect and awesome and everything just works out for them. What am I doing wrong? But we're not human. We don't. You look, like you said, a superhuman, but you're not. You're a normal person. You have a child you have to take care of. I'm pretty sure, there's days that you freak out dealing with him, and like you said, you had a fire in your home, and people think that just because you're doing business and is doing well from the outside that you don't have your own issues, and it's okay to struggle and live life and learn from things that go on in life. And I think that's important to share and let people know that.
It definitely is. Like I put the other day, or I said something about crying. Like, I put that broke down crying, and people are like, "Oh my God, you're crying? Why?" It's an emotion. It happens. Like,
it happens.
So it's crazy,
And people see your success and trying to compare them to you and be like, "Oh, you're just doing so well. You shouldn't be sad about anything, or you shouldn't, feel a certain way." But we all have our own feelings, our own issues, and what we think is a problem to us. So I think trying to quantify how a person should feel based on what's going on in their life is kind of unfair. So you saying that, you're crying and people coming to you say you shouldn't have anything to cry about, I think that's kind of weird.
Yeah, because we live in that time,
Right.
Yeah.
People are acting like they're invincible.
Yeah.
It's very strange. So motivation comes in a lot of forms. Let's talk about music. What do you listen to get going?
Man, listen. Okay, I'll tell you guys. Well, I think everybody should know what I listen to. So, on a regular day, driving through Baltimore with my windows down, my sunroof open, I'm listening to Jay-Z, Reasonable Doubt. I'm in the 90s. I'm pushing through like what? Like that's all me all day. Like I was jamming.
Her New York just came out really hard.
Yes. I was jamming the other day, and like I was like literally like cutting up in the car, and somebody was at the bus stop, and they were like, "Yeah, girl, that's fine." Like anything Reasonable Doubt, anything Jay-Z Blueprint, anything Jay.
Jay-Z Blueprint is my favorite.
Yes,
Jay
like
album.
just give me Jay-Z all day, and he's definitely been my motivator. Like just that's the era that I grew up in. As you guys were saying, I watched the story recently as well, the documentary.
Okay.
And it's just inspiring. Like I just love like even Jay-Z as an entrepreneur and what he's created and what he's done.
Right.
It relates. Of course, I've never sold drugs before, but in my mind, Jay makes me feel like, this hustle, this life that I'm living right now. This is my drug life. Like, this is my hustle.
Yeah, we talked about that last episode, and Ron and I have a real appreciation for Jay and Pusha T just because of their the way they talk about hustling.
Right.
And you can relate it to your life.
And that's what I feel like. Yeah, every time I'm like moving shirts from Brooklyn to Baltimore, I'm moving my weight. I'm smuggling it.
Right. You got the keys.
You got the keys.
I'm definitely on my hustle all day. And so, it definitely inspires and it makes you grind even harder because, like it's not so that's why too, I would say for motivation, it's not illegal. Like it's not an illegal thing. So I say to myself, all right, I'm going to flip this. I got to flip these real quick.
Mindset you have to have.
Yes. And it's my legal, my legal transaction. So I should be able to push these keys, sell this way, move this, so that's definitely my motivation.
That's really incredible. Okay. So we have this kind of sister part of the podcast called the Branded 10. Where we ask every guest, when you get a chance, to make a Spotify playlist of 10 songs that kind of define you, that you think kind of give some insight into who you are. So when you get a chance.
Okay,
that's your homework.
Got you. Yeah, that'll be exciting.
What's your favorite Jay-Z album? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Answer that first, and I'll say what I was
I would say, Reasonable Doubt just has a really, it's just really close to my heart for many reasons. But it's just one of those albums where it lights my heart on fire. Like I could just listen to that album over and over. He just was so hungry. Yeah. And I think right now, I love many other albums, but that album is the first. And I just think that, especially right now, it relates to my life in the sense of this is my first.
Right.
Like, this is my first real business. It's my first real hustle. This is my first, like, get rich or die trying. Like, that's the type of hunger that Jay had on Reasonable Doubt, where it was just like, nah, I'm coming out the gates and, it's going to be the best. And I watched a documentary recently where he was just like, he tried to even make albums like as good as Reasonable Doubt. And it just didn't work, and it didn't happen because it's just that there's just rawness to when you are just so hungry for it, and so that's how I feel. So that's the album I would say that's my favorite and closest to me.
Okay.
I never heard an album that humanized the hustle like that. I knew a ton of drug dealers growing up. I never heard.
I think between that and Illmatic, those are like the two that really.
I just never heard around that time anybody that talked about the hustle anywhere near that. Yeah. The jealousies, the
friend or foe, just all of that. And it's just so relatable to regular things in life. And I think that's why, because, at any business you could have right now, it's like friend or foe. You don't know if people are friending you because of where you're about to be or because of where you, so there's a lot of lessons in that album.
Yeah. What I was going to say was I just wanted to give you a full warning. I think Reasonable Doubt is on Spotify, but a lot of Jay-Z albums aren't on there because he has Tidal. So I give you a heads up because people give us a lot of
OJ. Okay. No, I got
people
you
give
guys.
us Jay songs, and I gotta go back like, I'm sorry, this one isn't available. Can I get an alternate?
We get it. No, Jay is building his platform. I respect his hustle. This is what you gotta do. So no, totally get it.
Cool.
Yeah. Which city do you prefer more, New York or Baltimore?
That's a good question.
Why y'all trying to do that to me? Let me see. You know what? I've been in Baltimore now for about 8 years almost. And I like Baltimore personally. It's I've been here for a little minute and I've gotten used to it. Brooklyn is home, but Brooklyn is changing so much. Gentrification is like, bro, where are you from? Like, this is not my neighborhood. I have a Domino's on the corner now. I'm used to just my Jamaican food spot and the Chinese food spot. So though I appreciate and I think love Brooklyn, I think I still, right now, I'm appreciating the rawness of Baltimore, to be honest. Like, I love being home, and I love being home is still Brooklyn all day. Like, it has to be. But I think Baltimore is more inspiring for me. Like, when I drive through certain neighborhoods and I see certain blocks and I can't believe people live there at all.
Right.
And so, that just inspires me to really want to help certain people and be able to get to a position where I could say, like, listen, this, I want to be able to go on a corner sometime in the near future and tell a young dude trying to, sell whatever, that listen, you could sell a t-shirt for this amount and you could develop your own company and you can, do this instead. So, like in Brooklyn, I mean, maybe my neighborhood has totally changed, but like you don't see that anymore. Like there's not, I went recently and I'm not really seeing people like congregate on the corners anymore. Like all that stuff is kind of like it's out. Like it's not really, people not sitting on the stoop as much. I don't know if it's because it's not summertime yet, but it just didn't seem that heavy. Like it's just, it's changing, And Baltimore still has that. Baltimore still has, they're making barbecue on the sidewalk and they're somebody's braiding your hair on the corner or, in front of the stoop. Like those are things that I'm still like, like that's what I say, or the hydrant busting open. Like you still see that here in Baltimore.
Feel like a second home.
Yeah, you still get that 90s very that vibe. And I still appreciate things like that. Okay. So, I love Brooklyn. I always will, but I'm like really learning to appreciate Baltimore.
That's cool.
That's good to hear.
I think the other thing is Baltimore is less connected than New York is right now as far as transportation, and the subway system only pretty much runs east to west. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people can't connect as much as they should. Like if you're from East Baltimore, the chances of you just even meeting somebody from West Baltimore and actually becoming friends is very low.
Right.
Just being
it's
here.
so low.
Yeah.
It's so low. It's weird. Like I remember when I was younger, you didn't talk to somebody from the West. Yeah. It was like not a thing. Like you sound like you from the West.
It's almost like a gang type thing. Like.
Yes. It's like it would always be something arbitrary too. Like they'd say like, yeah, I had to go up to Edmondson. I'm like Edmondson?
Nah,
I can't talk to you. But yeah, I'm glad that you like it.
Yeah, I do. I do. And like I said, I think people are sleeping on like a city like Baltimore because
it's growing.
It's growing, and what happens again is, you have other people of other races that see the potential, mm-hmm. and they're the ones that come in, do real estate, buy up everything, and then they flip it, turn it into a New York, and then we're mad.
Right.
Because I look at Brooklyn, and I get frustrated every time I look at Brooklyn. Like my grandmother, and, we have different families. We migrated to Brooklyn, 30, 40 years ago? There's no reason that my family doesn't own stuff in Brooklyn.
Word.
So when I look at stuff like that, I'm like, we missed. Mm-hmm. We missed a big, a lot of Black families, they missed the mark.
Yeah.
And so, I look at Baltimore, it's a city that's on the come up, and people should really just think about it and not just buy property and just leave it and let it sit, right. But actually do something about some of these neighborhoods and actually, really fix it up and do something. I think that it has the potential, and a lot of us we don't take the opportunity. You could get things for $1,000 and slowly get different programs to help fix up a building.
Right. So, since you mentioned that, what I wanted to say about you wanted to meet somebody on a corner and just talk to them, I saw a clip of Killer Mike. He was actually talking about getting somebody off the street and how he would approach them and saying that it only takes $5,000 for you to be able to, start a business, and it'll take $25,000 for you to get like a franchise business and open it up on the corner of your neighborhood. So if you're, on the street and you're hustling and you're one of those people that's actually out there making money, normally you make that in like a month. So the money that you make in a month, you can get out the street and right. You start working on the rest of your life. You don't have to keep your family in that same situation. You don't have to be perpetuating a stereotype and just being stuck in that same mindset. You can actually move out of that place. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be a Jay-Z to get out of the streets. There's other ways right. to get out. Yeah.
Especially with the internet. The internet opened
so many doors. So many doors. Even the t-shirt game. Like, like just so many so many doors where people, you can make a lot of money and you can do a lot of things. But again, it's about what you know. Mm-hmm. And if they don't know that you could buy a franchise with X, and if their aspiration is only to buy the new coupe or to buy, like the new Bentley or whatever, instead, they don't really get that. Yeah. So I think it's having someone who can really say, like, look what I've built and here it is. Mm-hmm. And someone that looks like you as well.
Right. It's this thing that I was working on when I was in college called the dark room theory. The idea that you're in a room full of all these resources and you don't know because
you can't see
nobody's lit it up.
Right.
The money's there, the resources are there.
Wow.
And somebody might light up the corner of the room that, okay, this is a type of food you can eat that's a little more healthy than what you're eating now.
Right.
This is a place where you can go to learn things, and the more that the light connects, you can fill a room up and keep spreading that knowledge. It's something I've always thought about, especially since I come from Northeast Baltimore. A lot of my friends didn't make it. My cousin and I come from the same place, and we both do the same thing, and we try to impress upon people that you can do well. There's a lot of things, and any resources that I know about, I'll tell people. Like, this is where I used to get my shirts done. This is where you can sell them. This is where you could talk to this store owner. This person's a little more open about things. So, like, if I could spread that to people, if people can spread it, it creates...
That's very deep that you said that, because I think that even within the entrepreneur community, period, you know, I've been trying, probably not trying hard enough yet because I'm so busy, but, you know, it's about like 5 or 6 of us entrepreneurs, and we all are at the post office around 6:50, all packaging, going crazy. And, you know, me and one other gentleman, like, we've been saying, like, all right, we've got to maybe take a step back and, like, maybe all, like, figure out. Like, I just realized one of the kids who, he has a great t-shirt company around the corner. He lives around, his business is around the corner from me. It could be something where he's helping to pick up, you know, maybe you pick up my packages one day, I pick up your, you know, and we save ourselves some time. And I think that, you know, sometimes as entrepreneurs, as people, period, we're in this room and it's very dark, and none of us are taking the time to, like, connect with what's around us, because, and then that it becomes a hindrance than it is something that, you know, can help us. Because if you're not realizing that someone else can, you know, is doing something that can really help you to advance your business, you get stuck in that same little circle, in that same small cycle, because you're not branching out. And that's been my thing recently, where I want to learn from people who are doing a lot better than what I'm doing. And I went to a seminar recently where they were kind of saying, as well as entrepreneurs and as Black entrepreneurs, a lot of us struggle with trusting each other. So, you know, we struggle with, oh, you're doing a t-shirt company. Oh, I don't want to give you where I'm doing this because, you know, I could care less. I'm the entrepreneur that says, listen, this is how I'm printing my shirts. This is what I'm doing. Because I'm a designer. I create my own stuff. So I don't really feel worried about the person that's next to me. And what, you know, I met with someone yesterday. He has a great brand, True Struggle, shouting him out. Like, I don't mind that both of us have a t-shirt company. And he was saying as well, like, let's work together, because together we can probably both get ourselves to a bigger platform rather than us, you know, doing it separate and struggling to get to the next point. So, you know, I think things like that, where if we're not afraid of, you know, working with others, is something that we really need to get to a better point with.
Yeah, and that's that Baltimore crabs in the barrel.
It's not just Baltimore, unfortunately. It's, you know, it becomes generational. And it becomes, you know, that's really what it is. And just amongst Black people, and where we feel, you know, look, Asians have, there's 2 beauty supply stores right on Pennsylvania Avenue, and they're next to each other, not owned by the same people. But, you know, they come, they say, all right, let's both open our spots and let's make it happen. What you selling? Let me sell something that's, you know, comparable to that item.
And that's
so we
the
just
thing,
got to
like,
get to that.
If you own a t-shirt brand and somebody else owns a t-shirt brand, more than likely y'all aren't going to cater to the same audience. Y'all not going to have the same customers. And even if y'all do, that's better for y'all if y'all know each other and, you know, talk and communicate, because you can say, hey, somebody came in looking for this. I don't really have that. I know you sell something that they are probably more interested in with this particular product. I can send them to you and you get that money, and vice versa.
Totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah. What was I thinking about? You have favorite show or movies or?
Oh, I'm a girly girl. I'm like, I don't know why I thought of this movie first. I'm like, I love beaches. It's like Barbara Streisand. That's like one of my, I can, like, you know, but then of course I love a belly, and so movies like that, Paid in Full, you know, like,
that's one of my favorite movies.
Like,
we were just talking about Paid in Full because
movies like that.
Wood Harris had a good interview on Breakfast Club recently. He was talking about, you know, a lot of the behind the scenes stuff and a lot of the stuff that he improvised on the movies and things like that. So that's definitely a good pick.
I love Cameron, like, you know, Dipset all day.
He
like,
keeps reinventing himself.
Yeah.
Definitely.
He had the capes a couple years ago.
Did you see the Reeboks that he recently put out?
No.
They're dope. The pink
ones, the
Reeboks?
Yeah, I love them. I can't find them anywhere though.
It's impossible. I know somebody that actually got them.
Crazy. That's Cameron. He a businessman.
Yeah, definitely. We appreciate you coming by. I feel like we've touched on a lot of stuff. I was very surprised at how much we touched on. Do you have any advice, some direct advice for people trying to start a business that are trying to find inspiration?
And for Black women as well, because I think that's important.
Yeah, for sure. I think my biggest advice is do it. We second guess ourselves. We think, is it a good idea? You won't know if it's a good idea until you just do it. Right. There's nothing wrong with doing it, scrapping it, taking a piece of paper, crushing it up, throwing it in the garbage. But I would also say, and I struggle with this myself, give it some time to manifest and really become a business and really become something. A lot of businesses start out more as hobbies first. I would say, 90% of the times it's definitely going to be a hobby. It's going to be something that you're just trying, even if you're so excited and you registered it as a business and all this and you got your domain and all that good stuff. It's still a hobby. Even right now, I'm like touching on the business phase. I don't even think I'm fully 100,000% like a business, Word. It takes a while to really get it to that phase where you're like, okay, I'm a full up and running business. So I would say definitely just do it. Don't second guess yourself. Come up with a good idea. Join different business groups in your neighborhood or even on Facebook and social media. Try to see what other people are doing. I'm sure whatever business you're deciding to go into, it's not anything new. If you want to do a podcast, visit, see what other bigger, smaller podcasts are doing, see what other mistakes people are making, and try to learn from those mistakes so that you're not making them. Most of us starting businesses, we're doing it because we don't have the money and we're looking for a way to generate income. So try your best to learn from what other people are doing wrong so that you're not financially putting out money and saying, dag, I wish I knew not to do this type of t-shirt or do this type of printing or get this kind of stuff, or buy these type of machines that I didn't need. So I would definitely recommend people testing things out, because I think a lot of people, we say we want to do something and then you realize that's not even my passion. That's not what I wanted to do. Also, I also would say know the difference between you can do a business that you're not passionate about just to make the money. That's something as well. Or you have to decide if you want to do a business that you are passionate about. And if you are doing something that you are truly passionate about, know that you're probably not going to make any money anytime soon. If it's something that you have to really let it grow and let it manifest and let it really become a flower. A lot of us, we're impatient. I am. I wanted, I want my factory and truck and stuff yesterday. But we kind of have to nurture a business and allow it to grow and really pour water into it every day. So I think that just as anyone who is looking to develop a business, just take the time to really figure out what that business is going to be, what you plan to get out of it. Also, I would say don't think that you have to quit your 9-to-5 to develop a business, especially not in the beginning. It doesn't work for everyone. And that's really the bigger takeaway for me, to tell viewers. The way that I did a business is not the way that you should do a business, and it shouldn't be the way that everyone's journey and their story is their own. So the way that I did it is not going to be the way that somebody else did it. So, I think that it just takes people to really know themselves, know what your plan is, and just really go after it that way. I think that's my biggest thing. Just do it. Create your business and just do it. And don't listen to the naysayers. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to say, oh, there's a million t-shirt businesses. There's a million, whatevers. That's fine. Create and do what you think is best. There's a million everything. There's Pepsi and then there's Coca-Cola.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah. And then like you said before, you don't have to actually run the business the entire time. You can actually make a business to sell. So
Yes.
that is an option.
Yeah, I think that, that's something that's big. We don't create businesses where we're thinking that, and a lot of people who have a real business mindset, they create businesses too with the potential, like, I want to sell this, so this is how I'm creating it, and they develop apps and, and just know that a lot of startups, it takes real money to really start a business.
Yes.
It doesn't take the 1,000, the 5,000, the even 10,000 that we may be able to scrape up. It takes a significant, and you can't really compare yourself to a lot of these big box businesses or even small box businesses who may have $100,000 that they've invested to really start up this company.
Right.
So we have to know, okay, I got $1,000. You may be able to create a small logo on Fiverr or, go to your friends and family, but start up that way and, build your business and don't rush. Mark Cuban said this. Don't rush to get to that next level. Let the next level almost like come to you.
Yeah.
Like you want to become so big that it forces you to do certain things. Like right now, I'm itching and saying, I want to get out of my house. I want to stop making t-shirts in my house. And I'm like, maybe I'll look at this space. I'm not ready. I'm still not ready.
Right.
I would love to be ready, but it needs to pour so much that it's like, okay, I have t-shirts to the ceiling of my third floor. And then I push myself out.
Right.
Wow. So,
and I think that's a good point to make, because it's important to enjoy what you're doing, because if you go to that next level too soon, you lose that time you get to enjoy what you're doing.
Good.
Exactly.
I'll put this into perspective. American Apparel closed recently.
Yes.
American Apparel. Like that is like a huge...
There's a bunch of reasons,
yeah.
Well, yes.
It's a tangled weave.
But you're right.
But that's just like, there's just no reason.
They're on everybody's backs. I don't understand. I don't understand.
Right. Yes.
They sold apparel to people to print shirts.
Right.
They sold shirts everywhere.
And they were high priced. Yes. And people still bought. So, yes, when you put it into perspective, it just makes me think it's easy to it can happen.
It can happen to anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate it. Where can we find you? Where can we find you on social media?
Oh, sure.
I was thinking about that.
So my website is messinabottle.com. That's MESSNabottle, all one word.com. For some reason, people are thinking I'm saying meth in a bottle recently. Right. And I'm like, I'm really not.
So you really are a Jay-Z fan.
Right. Yes, it's mess in a bottle, short for message. And we are on Facebook as well. It's facebook.com/a-mess-in-a-bottle. Somebody had mess in a bottle /Facebook. So it's a mess in a bottle. And on Instagram, it's also mess in a bottle.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you. This was really a lot of fun. Thanks for having me.
So, the podcast, where can people listen to the podcast?
debonairmaterial.com. You can go in there. We have all the episodes on there. We have their playlist as well. So, if you want to check those out and hear what our guests are listening to as well. We're on pretty much every streaming platform that we can possibly get on at this point. SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, iHeartRadio.
We'll have
TuneIn.
A link to Kalilah's playlist as well.
Yes.
The BRNDD playlist. So
we also put links to all of their business and social media stuff as well. So check that out. Rand's social media, Debonair Material on Instagram and Facebook, and on Twitter it's Deb Material.
Cool.
Because you can't put the whole name in there. So
you can reach me at whoisronjames on both Twitter and Instagram. That's it.
And we appreciate you guys listening again. Please start leaving iTunes and whatever platform you're listening on feedback. Email us, branded@debonairmaterial.com. Your feedback really helps us, helps our ratings,
Tell
all
people
that.
about it, please.
Yes. Like I said before, we the end of last month was our best month for the podcast, so please keep sharing. We appreciate it. We have a few live events coming up. July 13th is our event for Baltimore County Public Libraries. pretty much going to be talking about our business, how we started the podcast, and what we do individually and collectively. And we have a few more things coming up that we can't really announce yet because we don't have any dates set in stone yet. But yeah, I think that's it, right?
Yeah, that's it.
All right. So
thanks for listening.
Branded Conversations with Creatives. Another one down. Yeah.